What's up, Michigan fans? Welcome back to the Maize and Bluebeard podcast, where we talk all things Michigan football, basketball, and all other sports because we love all our Michigan Wolverines. I'm Chris. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me and talk about Michigan. As always, we got a lot to get to. You can see here what we're going to talk about. First of all, Michigan made another huge recruiting front staff office, GM office, group, off-field staff, however you want to talk about it. Michigan made an awesome hire that I can't wait to tell you about. Also, we'll talk about some more things that Dusty May said, especially taking a look at the whole best team that money can buy, blah, 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 the stuff that we hear from our rivals. And of course, we'll update you on more recruiting news and reveal the question of the day from yesterday, in which I asked, who will lead Michigan in forced fumbles next season? All that and more on this episode of the Maize and Bluebeard podcast. Let's go blue, and let's get to it. Everybody knows that Michigan football hired a new GM after relieving Sean McGee and his staff of their duties. They hired Dave Peliquin, who I did a couple videos about, to be the new general manager. He had over 20 years of experience at Notre Dame, doing basically everything you could possibly think of besides being GM in name, but he did everything in recruiting, in front office staff, player development, NIL, contracts, all the things he had a hand in. And then he worked for a while with Athletes First as the head of the college NIL division, working with college players, college agents, and the NFL, and all between. And now he's going to be the GM here, and I think he's going to do awesome. But Michigan just hired the first off-the-field staff member that's going to be working with Dave Peliquin, and it's a pretty dang good one. The Michigan Insider on 247 Sports announced yesterday that Michigan was hiring Skylar Phan, who is just an amazing hotshot recruiting staff that's coming up through the ranks. Most recently, they were at USC. And why is that a big deal? Because guess who had the #1 recruiting class this year? You guessed it, USC. Phan was a big reason why. So Skylar Phan started out with the Las Vegas Raiders as a recruiting intern. Then they moved on to roles with Houston and North Texas before getting a job as a more high-profile job as a recruiting assistant with the Texas Longhorns. And then finally it moved on to USC. And then at USC, Skylar Phan was the director of recruiting strategy. So she's going to be working in the department, in the recruiting department with Dave Peliquin. She's going to be an off-the-field staff. And she's freaking amazing. She's done an awesome job everywhere she's been. She's known, respected far and wide. Players love her. People respect her, and they just know that she's a rising star. So here's some of the things that people talked about maybe that she is going to be doing for Michigan. They said overseeing all officials and unofficial visits. So overseeing all the visits, official, unofficial, all that stuff. But she's going to have a big role going forward. And this is just another slam dunk hire. I mean, somebody that is young, hungry, rising through the ranks, very well respected, and has just been doing a fantastic job. So it's pretty awesome. This is a fantastic move. Once again, I can't wait to see how she's able to help Michigan increase their recruiting class. They've already got great recruiters on staff on the road, getting the recruits to come in. Now they've got a GM who really knows NIL and contracts and knows everything behind the scenes, how it works. And now you bring in a hotshot, young, up-and-comer recruiting, office worker who's done all sorts of different things. And it's just exciting what Michigan is doing. So this is a huge hire, fantastic first hire in that room, besides Dave Peliquin, and it's just awesome. Michigan is rocking it, and I think this is going to be huge, and I can't wait to see who they get next. So look up more about Skylar Phan, and you will be impressed, and you'll get excited. She's done a great job, and she did a great job while at USC. They just kept improving each year she was there. And last year, of course, they were the #1 recruiting class in the country, and she had a big part to play in that happening. She was able to help get a lot of those recruits there, and now she's going to be doing the same thing for the University of Michigan Wolverines. Let's freaking go. If you're a Michigan basketball fan, you have for sure heard from either friends, coworkers, or on the message boards for sure that Michigan's team is a bunch of mercenaries, that Dusty May bought the best team that money could buy, that they just outspent everybody, and oh yeah, any team could be good if they had money to spend and money to burn and blah, blah, blah. But all of that could not be farther from the truth. And now we have a little more interesting way for you to combat this silly, silly rhetoric. Of course, you could just say that Michigan went 8-24. They basically had no team left, and he could only recruit so many people that quick. So yes, he used the transfer portal to fill the team, and he did it with good, high character players. And that base that he built with good, high character players not only transformed the program and made it a good place where players want to come to play, but it also resulted in a pretty dang good team who won the Big Ten tournament and had a decent little run in the NCAA tournament. Now you come this year, and they had one of the lower half of NIL funds going into last year, but he still was able to get a pretty good team. So he worked his butt off to raise up that NIL money, and they did make use of it. But you can tell people that you can listen to interviews from all these players, and they will say other places offered them more money. They took less money to come here because Dusty May built a culture they wanted to play in. He told them, we're going to help you become a better player and a better young man, and you're going to grow as a player and a person. And they love the guy and they love the place. It's not because of the money. It's not the best team money could buy. And he does recruit well. Look at his recruits. He brought his recruit, LJ Kaysen, who has become probably the best backup point guard in the country prior to his injury. He came with him when he came to Michigan because he wanted to play for him. He got Trey McKinney, who is the best sixth man, almost has been thought of at times, that one of the best freshmen in the country. I mean, people just say the darndest things. So you can tell people all of that, but they don't care. They're not going to listen. They're going to keep saying it because Michigan is good and beats their team, and it makes them mad. But people close to the source, close to the team, it has been reported and shown, and various articles and sites have done this. The Wolverine, 247 Sports, Michigan Insider, all these places have talked about how Michigan is actually more in the middle of the pack when it comes to spending on their roster. They're probably in the 5 to 7, like the top 5 to 7 of the Big Ten. So they're definitely not number 1 or 2 or 3. They're kind of in that 5 to 7 range. Maybe lower. I've seen numbers a little lower, and then I've seen 5 to 7 as the highest. So they're definitely not at the very top. They're not just throwing money at everyone and printing money off and giving it to them. So it's still not going to change anything. It does not matter. The keyboard warriors from our rival fan bases are not going to see this evidence and say, oh, you're right. It's okay that Dusty May and Michigan just kicked my behind. They're just a really good team. I will give you your flowers and your team. No, never going to happen. But I just like to see that, because think about who Dusty May has on this team. Okay, Yaxel Lindenborg, yes. He was the most highly sought after guy, but he could have gone to the NBA and made more money. He himself said other places offered me more money, but Dusty May went after him as man to man, as a person who wanted to have him on his team, to help him grow as a person and a player. And it worked because that's exactly what he's doing. He's just a good coach. But anyway, like I was saying, let's look at the players that Dusty May has built this team with. So you've got Yaxel Lindenborg. Okay, I'll give you that one. He's a superstar, but he still took less money to come here to Michigan. Okay, now let's keep going around the horn here. Okay, you've got Ade Mara, who is a beast and has in a great year. He was on UCLA and barely played at all. He was a backup center who barely got any minutes. So it's not like he was a freaking athletic freak beast that everybody wanted. No, nobody thought much of him, but Dusty May did. Then we got Morris Johnson. He was a really solid, fun player from Illinois, but he wasn't a superstar. He wasn't somebody that everybody was banging down doors to try to get. But Dusty May saw something in him and brought him in. And now look what he's doing. Let's look at the other player, the one that was on that 8-24 team for Michigan, Namari Burnett. Most people thought he was going to transfer. He was going to leave. He was a leading scorer on a cruddy team, and he wasn't even that good, right? Well, Dusty May saw something in him, and he's become an integral part of the rotation and the starting five and this team. Elliot Cadeau, nobody at North Carolina wanted him. He was a cast-off. He had turnover problems. He couldn't shoot. Nobody cared, but Dusty May saw something in him and brought him in. And now you put them together, and they're this amazing super team that everyone thinks we paid so much money for and blah, blah, blah. But guess what? A lot of these guys were castaways, or we're not getting the focus and the minutes that they deserved because people didn't believe in them. But Dusty May does, and he's one heck of a coach. So let them talk. They're gonna, and as fans of this team, we love the players, we love the coach, and we want to stick up for him. But just remember what Dusty May does. He doesn't care. Let people say what they want. Let them talk. Whatever. Think of that awesome image of him at the Michigan State game, just lean back with a smile on his face, watching his team, his boys, his dudes that he loves and he's coaching up, and not caring about all those Sparty fans behind him yelling at him. That's what we need to do because we know the truth. We know that Michigan is built, not bought. And they can say whatever they want, but this team is good because they have a dang good head coach, and they are very good players that nobody believed in as much as Dusty May did. There's a safety that I really like, I've talked about quite a few times, and that is Daryl Madison. He's a 3-star now, but he is rising. He looks fantastic if you watch some of his highlights and stuff. But he is really high on Michigan. He's going to be coming for a visit in March. And he talked about why he's so high on Michigan. He said a lot of cool things. One thing he said that was cool was that he said, I love Whittingham and the staff there, and no offense to them, they have a great staff, but Michigan would always be high to me because it's Michigan, and that's just cool to hear. But he said he loves the staff. He said that they're in constant contact with him, building relationship, checking in, seeing how he's doing, and he says that because of all that and his just being impressed with Michigan in general, they are really high on his list. He actually at one point said they're at the top of his list. He didn't specifically say number one, but when someone says at the top, that sounds pretty dang good. So he's really excited about the visit. He's feeling really good about Michigan. He's being pursued by a lot of other Big Ten programs and other conference programs. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if he's a 4-star by the time all is said and done. But he's looking really good, and he's pumped about Michigan, so keep an eye out for him. He could be one of the first signings. You never know, but I'm just saying. He's really pumped about Michigan, excited to see how his visit goes in March 17th, and to see what he thinks after that visit. Latish Kinsler is an NIL agent who his agency, they work with a lot of the top recruits. He actually was the agent for Travis Johnson, our wide receiver, and he recently talked with some Michigan insiders about his feelings about the new staff and how it's going with some of his recruits. He represents top 100, very, very good offensive lineman, offensive tackle, Aluwasalamor Alubobo. Dang it. Aluwasamor Alubobala. That's a tough one. Alubobala is really good. He's awesome. 6'7", huge dude. Really good offensive lineman. It's looking like he could end up being at least the number one tackle, if not one of the top offensive linemen overall. But he had built a pretty good rapport with the previous staff under Sherrone Moore. So you never knew how the changeover would go. But Latish Kinsler said that it had actually been going really good with the new staff. Them coming in, it's gone well. He's still interested in Michigan. And they're going after him, having different, Harding has done a good job talking to him, building a relationship. And he just said that the staff overall has been great and that it feels good to be wanted and that, they're definitely in the running. He actually, Kinsler said that he's spoken to Dave Peliquin, the new GM, already, which is great news. And he said that they're planning a spring visit in early April, and that just things are going great with them. He said that he's really impressed with Coach Whittingham and his staff overall in general, and he's excited for Bball to come there and meet them in person and get to talk to them and experience the campus and all that stuff. So another awesome one that would be amazing get for Michigan. We'll see how his visit goes and if it continues to trend in a very solid direction. But again, this staff is so great at recruiting. And now we got Skylar Phan in the building and Dave Peliquin. It's going well. I'm excited. I am excited about recruiting season. We just keep adding great puzzle pieces to this puzzle that I think is going to turn out in the end to be a really high-powered recruiting staff, and I cannot wait. And I can't wait to see how they do at the transfer portal next year as well. And now it's time for the question of the day results. Remember, I do a question of the day every day, so if you didn't vote today yet, after this video, head on over to the community tab and vote. Yesterday, I asked, who will lead the Michigan Wolverines football team in 2026 next season in forced fumbles? You could choose from Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng, John Henry Daly, edge, or defensive back Smith Snowden, or somebody else. The results are in, and here they are. As you can see here, the runaway winner was Nathaniel Owusu-Boateng. And I think that's a really good pick. It could be him. Linebacker's always a good pick just because they're so involved in run defense, short passes over the middle where someone could get popped and fumble it, blitzing for sacks or hitting the running back in the backfield. They have a lot of opportunities, and I think he's going to be all over the field, so I think that's a great choice. Somebody else had said Troy Bowles, which is another great one. He could also do it because I think he's going to have a great year at linebacker. But John Henry Daly, if he's healthy and he's playing between the sacks and getting in the backfield, he could definitely do it and being part of the run game. But Smith Snowden is a sneaky one as well because he is a playmaker. He knows how to make turnovers happen. He's fundamentally sound and he's a hard hitter. I could see him getting some fumbles knocked out of there, especially if he plays kind of that nickel back help out in the run defense. Because I think he's going to have a lot of interceptions, but he could have a lot of fumbles as well, forced. So it'll be fun to see how many fumbles Michigan forces next year and who ends up being the head one. But I'd say Owusu-Boateng is a good choice just because of how involved in all of that stuff linebackers are. He has a lot of shots at it, but it could be any of them, really, and that's an exciting thought. Thanks, everybody that voted. Again, if you didn't vote today, go do so now. That's going to do it for this episode of the Amazing Bluebeard podcast. Thanks for hanging out with me again. Look for more info about Skylar Phan as I dig in and figure out more stuff. But exciting stuff, another exciting, awesome hire for Michigan. A lot of great things going on. And I hope there's a lot of great things going on for you as well. But that's going to do it. That's all I've got. So I'll see you in the next video. And until I do, as always, Michigan fans, go blue.